We're starting today with Raw, which kicked off in Cincinnati with Logan Paul receiving a mixed reaction from his home state crowd in Ohio, and Paul wasted no time in stirring the pot. He thrashed both the city and state while boasting about his controversial victory over Rey Mysterio to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match earlier this month. He confidently declared his intent to defeat 3 doorknobs and John Cena to earn a WrestleMania title shot against Cody Rhodes before CM Punk's entrance music hit. As Punk made his way to the ring, Paul mockingly gestured behind his back before bluntly asking if Punk had a problem, implying that Punk is dealing with jealousy. Punk fired back, dismissing Paul as a kid who thrives on shock value but lacks character and depth, insisting that the fans deserve better. Referring to himself, Cena, and the rest of the Chamber competitors, Punk said, "We're legends, we're history makers," before calling Paul a flash in the pan. Paul responded by mocking CM Punk's 2023 WWE return, taking a jab at his torn triceps injury and suggesting that he simply couldn't handle the spotlight. Paul also stated in his promo that he is now a full-time talent, meaning fans can expect to see much more of him, at least on the build to WrestleMania 41. Punk vowed to win the Elimination Chamber, challenge Rhodes, and make history at WrestleMania, while Paul would become nothing more than a forgotten footnote. He then referenced Cody Rhodes' intense face-off with The Rock on SmackDown, ominously suggesting that Rhodes might feel compelled to sell his soul to defeat him. Punk warned that Rhodes knows deep down that he is the devil himself, something Paul would soon learn firsthand inside the Chamber. Paul responded by slapping Punk before making his exit, and Punk ended the segment by warning the former US champion to run while he still could. There was some blood on Punk after the slap, showing the force with which the Maverick struck, and one has to imagine Punk will be eager to deliver a receipt in the Elimination Chamber. The heated exchange between the two contrasting personalities elevated what could have been a standard opening promo on the go-home show. Paul may have Punk's number in terms of in-ring results, including eliminating Punk from the Royal Rumble, but their war of words has set the stage for something bigger. This segment effectively laid the groundwork for a potential rivalry, and if Paul manages to eliminate Punk in the Chamber match, it could further ignite tensions between them. With WrestleMania on the horizon, WWE Creative has the perfect opportunity to develop this into a marquee feud going into the April PLE. Are you interested in WWE doing Logan Paul vs. CM Punk at WrestleMania, or is there a better direction for both men going into the show? Share your thoughts in our comments section. A 3-way promo featuring CM Punk, Logan Paul, and Seth Rollins was originally advertised for WWE Raw. While the reason for the Visionary's absence is now clear, the spotlight instead shifted to a fiery verbal exchange between Punk and Paul. According to Wade Keller, the decision to remove Rollins from the segment came from Bruce Pritchard and Triple H. Their goal was to gauge the live crowd's reaction to a face-off between Punk and Paul, potentially setting the stage for a WrestleMania showdown between the two. Cody Rhodes was on Raw to address his SmackDown confrontation with The Rock, and the American Nightmare seemingly teased that he was considering The Rock's proposal. Cody spoke about his wife and their daughter who rely on him, as well as his sister, but before he went much further, Seth Rollins interrupted his WrestleMania 40 ally to say he doesn't want to hate Cody. Rollins spoke about last year and battles with the Bloodline, but Cody responded by saying that Seth's soul has already been tainted, highlighting Rollins turning on the Shield in 2014. Rhodes didn't stop there, as he referenced Rollins using a sledgehammer on the back of Cody and being the one to join the Authority, and ultimately drove the likes of Cody out of WWE. This proved to be a compelling segment between the two, which ended with Rhodes on his own in the ring, contemplating what to do ahead of his big decision at this Saturday's PLE. Though fans have been divided on The Rock's segment and verbiage, it can't be denied that this is a huge angle, one that could be setting up for a Cody heel turn, possibly very soon. In the Judgment Day base, Liv Morgan once again denied having any role in the attack on Jade Cargill, an accusation leveled at her by Bianca Belair and Naomi. In the main event, Liv and Raquel Rodriguez battled the women's tag team champions and captured the titles following a high-energy, dramatic showdown. The heels benefited from incessant interference from Dominic Mysterio, as well as their own resiliency to beat Naomi and Belair to become the new champions. Plenty of near falls kept fans excited as the crowd ate up every one of them, never quite sure if the seemingly unbeatable champions would defeat the heels and their tactics. The question of whether the faces could overcome the Judgment Day's underhanded methods was answered when Liv pinned Naomi seconds after Raquel smashed Naomi's head into a ring post. That was done behind the referee's back and secured Liv and Raquel's place in the history books as the first ever 3-time women's tag team champions. Michael Cole noted on commentary that a victory would make Morgan and Rodriguez the record holders in a fun addition to make this match even more interesting. The question now is where the new champions go from here, with some predicting a WrestleMania match against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss should Bliss join the Wyatt Six. Some fans had also predicted Jade Cargill to return during this week's match, though that did not happen, and we'll have to wait and see when she's back on our screens. But why did Bianca and Naomi lose the gold this week? Well, one theory is that this is planting the seeds for the pair to split and return to plans as singles superstars. Reports are circulating that Belair could win the Women's Elimination Chamber match, a victory that'd ensure her a title opportunity with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 41. If this report is true, taking the titles off the team will allow for Belair's direction to be solely on Ripley, while opening Naomi up to ideas outside the tag division. This title change could also have come to set up the return of Jade Cargill, as it's still not known who took out the Storm back in November. With the titles off Belair and Naomi, it's likely the pair's focus will solely be on this attack, setting up Jade's return possibly relatively soon. With both Cargill and Naomi being suspects in this case, it's plausible that Jade will be back soon and reveal the identity of her attacker on the road to WrestleMania. There was another tease of major changes to the Judgment Day during this week's Raw as Dominic Mysterio again pushed for adding somebody new to the group. Finn Balor once again refused the idea, but after 3 weeks of this, it's clear that WWE isn't just teasing possible issues in the faction, but is pushing the idea of a new recruit as a key storyline. In the background of the shot, fans could spot a Demon Balor image displayed, perhaps a tease that Balor will be resurrecting his demon persona. A week removed from inadvertently spearing Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Bron Breakker faced the Judgment Day star, who got in more offense than one may have expected. This was thanks in part to some distractions by Carlito and Finn Balor at ringside, but Breakker brushed off Dom's offense and was set to fold him in half with a spear. Instead of flattening Dirty Dom with the spear though, Breakker was attacked by the Judgment Day, causing the DQ. Despite the onslaught, Bron fended them off and was in control as he backed Balor off to end the segment. This raises questions as to whether Mysterio could be in line for an Intercontinental title match, or will it be Balor? And if it's one of them, could this further tensions in the Judgment Day? There's also the question as to where AJ Styles fits into things given his recent confrontations with Breakker, and a 4-way could be coming at WrestleMania 41 for the gold. WWE also teased Logan Paul vs AJ Styles with a backstage segment during Raw, so it may be a matter of time before the pair share the ring one-on-one. Speaking of Styles, Karrion Kross stalked AJ during Raw, with the former NXT champion being spotted in the background of a backstage segment featuring the Phenomenal One. Now, in the past, people Kross has set his sights on have turned heel, including The Miz and The New Day last year, while some believe that a turn could be coming from Sami Zayn. While AJ is seemingly now in Kross's sights, could that mean Styles will turn heel? Fans will just have to stay tuned to find out. Ahead of facing Jey Uso at WrestleMania, Gunther offered an opportunity to Akira Tozawa to do something he's claimed the Men's Royal Rumble winner would never do: earn his respect. The Alpha Academy underdog showed great fire as he unloaded on Gunther early on, but as predicted, the world champion overwhelmed Tozawa with a series of devastating strikes. Chopping Tozawa out of the air and finishing him off with a powerbomb, Gunther got the win, but continued to assault his opponent after the match. Gunther downed Otis with a sleeper after the powerhouse tried to make the save, but Jey Uso hit the ring to chase off Gunther and stood tall to end the segment. This was a great segment that showed that even though Gunther cruised to victory, his hubris can get the best of him, a story that'll almost certainly play out at WrestleMania 41. Credit has to go to Tozawa, who showed great fire as he fought from underneath in a match that was reminiscent to the incredible Triple H vs Taka Michinoku showdown from Raw in 2000. For that criminally underrated contest, the Game worked hard to put over his opponent, even as the light heavyweight champion stood no chance of actually winning against the top heel. While this week's match wasn't quite the same, it did plenty with all involved in one of the highlights of the night, despite the on-paper odd combo of Tozawa and the Ring General. In a sit-down interview, Sami Zayn shared that he recently went to speak with Kevin Owens' family, including his mom, but then went home ashamed of himself. Zayn didn't do anything to Owens or even see him, and this was to hype up the unsanctioned match between the two at Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Given the personal beef between the two, there's a clear argument that the unsanctioned match should main event, giving the two Canadians the spotlight in their home country. Do you think this should headline the Elimination Chamber? Give your thoughts below. Chants of "This is awesome" poured in from the Cincinnati crowd as Penta, Pete Dunne, and Ludwig Kaiser, three of WWE's most gifted wrestlers, battled in a triple threat match on Raw. This was the latest step in the weeks-long rivalry between the trio, with each seizing the upper hand at times, including Pete Dunne hitting a bitter end to Penta. Kaiser broke up the pinfall and would later dump Penta from the ring to deliver an inverted hammerlock DDT on Dunne to get the win in this fun three-way match that hooked the fans. The crowds were hanging on every near-fall and spot and were firmly behind Penta, and Kaiser's victory can be considered an upset win, but one that continues his rivalry with the Masked Star. What the endgame ultimately is remains to be seen, but if WWE has yet to establish a WrestleMania plan for Penta, keeping him in the ring with Kaiser is hardly a bad idea for now. The German has done an exceptional job of utilizing the commercial breaks to cut promos for fans watching on Netflix and has evolved his presence on the mic. This week was no different as Kaiser said that he deserves the attention Penta has been getting and vowed to take the attention away from the AEW alum. Kaiser has been a staple of these off-air promo spots for those without ads on Netflix and has demonstrated himself as someone with a tremendous upside to WWE. Even in defeat though, Penta remains to be the talk of the WWE Universe online, with fans continuing to praise his performances since his arrival in WWE last month. While this week saw him lose, the masked star wasn't pinned, meaning his momentum remains unaffected, while giving Kaiser one of the biggest wins of his singles run. Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley was interviewed in the stands by Jackie Redmond, who asked about Ripley's title match with Io Sky on next week's Raw. Ripley spoke about the 5 years since she last faced Sky and listed just some of the opponents she's defeated in that span. Sky emerged and vowed to win the title, and while Ripley has yet to beat Sky on TV, she does have one win over her at a WWE live event. This has all the makings of a blockbuster match, one that many fans had hoped would come at WrestleMania since Ripley's feud with Morgan is in the past. Instead, the women's chamber match will decide who challenges for the title in Las Vegas, and do you want to see Sky or Ripley win next week, and why? Let us know below. Now, backstage issues in WWE continue to mount, with a growing disconnect between what higher-ups like Triple H and Nick Khan are saying and what is actually happening backstage. Now, a new report has shed further light on the struggles within the company, as before the launch of TKO in September 2023, employees could buy WWE shares at a 15% discount. This was a valuable perk that many took advantage of, but after months of employees pushing for clarity in town hall meetings, HR officially shut the program down this week. An internal email obtained by WrestleNomics confirmed the change, stating, "Due to TKO's corporate structure, we are unable to launch a new employee stock purchase plan that offers the same type of individual tax benefits that were previously offered by the WWE plan. Instead, TKO is offering stock grants, but not for everyone," as the email clarified that these grants would primarily go to eligible employees as part of our long-term incentive plan. This phrase is typically for top executives and higher-ups, while employees lower down in the company won't have the chance to benefit from this new plan. For employees who previously benefited from WWE's stock program, their shares were converted to TKO stock after the merger, but that doesn't help those who wish to continue buying discounted stock under the new ownership. The stock program isn't the only concern. Employee morale within WWE is sinking fast thanks to reduced benefits, minimal pay raises, and an increased workload since TKO's launch. That is despite WWE's record-breaking profits, which come thanks to the massive revenue from ticket sales, streaming deals, and partnerships, yet employees aren't seeing the rewards. Workers received only a 3% cost of living raise with no merit-based increases, despite positive performance reviews, while execs secured multi-million-dollar bonuses tied to the merger. TKO has also prioritized stock buybacks and dividends, benefiting investors while limiting employee benefits, leaving many very frustrated. Adding to the frustration, workloads have increased significantly as some employees are clocking 50 to 60-hour work weeks, particularly as WrestleMania season ramps up. Others have been assigned UFC-related tasks, and concerns are growing that TKO's rumored expansion into professional boxing could stretch them even further without additional pay. According to PW Insider, the addition of professional bull riding to TKO's portfolio has only added to employees' responsibilities, further increasing workloads since the takeover. This extra work, though, has seen bonuses and annual raises remain minimal, with only the aforementioned 3% annual raise being reported. As WrestleMania approaches, employees fear they will be expected to take on even more responsibilities while WWE continues to thrive financially. Those working behind the scenes don't expect to see any financial rewards for their contributions, as morale within WWE's parent company continues to be hit hard. On Raw, the New Day scored another win and a string of victories in recent weeks as Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods defeated the LWO's Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. The faces started hot, but Kingston downed Del Toro behind the referee's back, and after the New Day took control, they dominated the action from there and cut off a short comeback. This was another heat-building win for the heels, who continue to be a hot act on Raw as villains after a decade or so as popular babyfaces. The post-match beatdown on Dragon Lee may have done more damage than good for Lee, but it strengthened the New Day at a time when they are seeing their role grow each week. Rey Mysterio was nowhere to be seen on the show, and Michael Cole announced that Rey would be out of action indefinitely because of the attack by the New Day from 2 weeks ago. Mysterio was ambushed by Kingston and Woods after losing an Elimination Chamber qualifier to Logan Paul, though the specific nature of his injury was not made clear. This is of course setting up a big return for Rey, who will want payback on the New Day, but for now, Kingston and Woods have rid WWE of one of the company's most beloved stars. In a rematch from the finals of the Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament, Lyra Valkyria faced Dakota Kai, this time with the Valkyrie defending the gold. As has been the case throughout their rivalry, this match demonstrated the chemistry between the two, with Valkyria dominating early on, but Kai fought her way back into things. At one point, Kai appeared to have the win in hand, but Valkyria fended her off and delivered Nightwing to score the win and retain the Women's Intercontinental title. Justifiable "This is awesome" chants proved that fans will react when the women's division are allowed to have longer, competitive matches, something the creative team should remember. After the match, Ivy Nile attacked Kai on the ramp, sending her into the guardrail before laying out Lyra in the ring so that she could pose with the Women's Intercontinental title. This was a strong match, coupled with a post-match angle that propels things forward and gives fans a clear indication as to what's next for the champion. Backstage, Bayley and Roxanne Perez shared an intense segment as the rivalry between the two has now reached the main roster. Their beef began in NXT before playing out in the Royal Rumble and continuing in the Silver brand, and it's now getting the spotlight on WWE's flagship show. With both women in this weekend's Elimination Chamber match, fans will get to see the pair again soon, with a WrestleMania 41 showdown possible if neither wins this Saturday in Toronto. Jey Uso attacked Grayson Waller with a super kick backstage, but only after Austin Theory yeeted along with the men's Royal Rumble winner, to the disgust of Waller. As issues continue to mount in A-Town Down Under, is this a sign of an Austin Theory face turn? This certainly could be the direction WWE is going in. And that was Raw, and what did you think of the show? Was it a fitting go-home Raw ahead of Elimination Chamber? Let us know down below. The excitement didn't stop after Raw in Cincinnati though, as LA Knight faced Ohio's own The Miz after the show, and the megastar got the win over the heel to send the crowd home happy. As we previously reported, Drew McIntyre needed fluid drained from his knee last weekend and had exactly that shortly before stepping into the ring to compete on SmackDown. While speaking to Sports Illustrated's The Takedown, McIntyre explained that his knee wasn't bending properly, which led to him having the fluid removed. The doctor wasn't thrilled about doing it so close to a match, but it was deemed medically safe, and Drew didn't want anything to hinder his performance in the ring. McIntyre made it clear he wasn't going to let the after effects of the drainage slow him down, and sure enough, he dealt with Jimmy Uso in the ring after the procedure. McIntyre shared that he has no concerns about his knee going into Elimination Chamber, and even if there were issues, he wouldn't let it stop him facing CM Punk, John Cena, and others. He also made clear that he doesn't expect anything to be handed to him and plans on proving that he belongs at the top of WWE no matter if he has to push through injuries to compete. Do you think Drew McIntyre's resilience will pay off at Elimination Chamber, or will his knee issues come back to haunt him? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Every WrestleMania season, Stone Cold Steve Austin's name comes up, but while the Rattlesnake has previously teased being in Las Vegas, fans shouldn't expect a match. During a Fightful Select Q&A podcast, Sean Ross Sapp said it'd be a miracle for Austin to wrestle, as he had total knee replacement in December. Sapp shared that appearing and throwing beers is a maybe, but he hasn't heard anything yet, and given this surgery that Austin said he'd been putting off for years, a match isn't happening. And we're ending with The Rock, who will appear at WWE Elimination Chamber on March 1st, and unsurprisingly, this news has led to an increase in ticket sales. In their latest update, WrestleTix shared that 2,292 tickets sold in the week Rock announced his role for the show, and that now just 2,283 tickets remain for the event. With 29,836 tickets already distributed, the Rogers Arena will be packed this Saturday as fans wait to see The Rock and whether Cody Rhodes gives up his soul to the final boss.